That's okay. So now let's pretend that that worked. And now what you want to do is you want to upload these changes to GitHub, and then you want to push these changes back to SU2. So if we do git status, we can see all of the file names that have changed. So we changed config structure, HPP, inline, and C++, and we modified the turbulent solver. And that's what we did. Great. So now we're going to commit those changes by adding all of the modified files, and we're going to have a message along with that. So here we added an option. So we're going to commit all of the changes that we've made, and we're going to add this message as a way of doing that commit. And now we're going to push. So actually, well, let's see if this works first. But now we're going to push to origin, which is it's like where this branch came from. So I cloned this repository from my GitHub repository, and now we're going to push back to where we start, and we're going to push up to the develop branch. And so, what? All right. So what happened was we cloned from the master, but then we switched to the develop branch, and then we tried to push the develop branch. But the develop branch and the master branch are not in sync with one another. So what I just did was I pulled from the develop branch of that upstream repository. So now my local develop branch is as it should be. And now, so now let's push our changes back up. So we'll do what we did before, and now we will push. And let's see if that works. Yes, it does. So now we successfully pushed up to our origin develop. And now if we go to GitHub, we see, hey, we have recently pushed branches, and develop got pushed to less than a minute ago. So in this particular case, our code doesn't work. But if our code did work, and we wanted to push those changes up to SU2, there is this button that says compare and pull request. So now we'll create a pull request, and this is going to tell us all of the things that changed. So we see that we added our getter method. Here's our parsing method. Here's our print for that, and here's our addition to the cconfig option. And we also should have a good commit message up here. So and now we can create the pull request. And so, oops, I misspelled it. That's fine. So now we see the other thing that we should have checked before making the pull request is that we're trying to push to SU2 code develop rather than, say, master or some other branch. So we want to push to the developing branch of SU2 because the develop branch is where those changes are being actively done. And now, so now we look that, so Tom now has gone on the SU2 side and said, oh, he's taking a look at my pull request. So he just said, oh, hey, thanks for the pull request for taking a look at your code. And if we go to SU2, we can also see that there are a number of open pull requests, of which one of them is mine. And so we can see here. So let's say Tom says that I need to make some changes. So for example, my code is broken. So maybe there was something weird with the master. So we can see if this works now. But the other thing, so let's say we had to make a change. So point ID, let's say he wants point to be capitalized and to look like this or something to match it. Great. So now we've added some new changes. So now what we can do again is we can cd to SU2 home. Okay. Anyway, so now again we can commit. So it would be like fixed capitalization. Now we can again push to our upstream branch. And so now it's finished pushing. And now when we go back to GitHub, if we go to my local copy, go to my copy, we can see again on the develop branch that now we're a couple more commits ahead of the main develop branch. And if we look at the pull request on the SU2 side, we will see that, oh, my fixed capitalization push that push has automatically been ported to that pull request. So in order to sort of update to comments, all you need to do is make those changes, commit them, and then push them to whatever branch you started the pull request from. And lastly, let's see if this works. It might work. And if this works, otherwise we'll open up to if there are any final questions at all.
So if I'm a developer and I want to get new capabilities, what's the best way to interact with the SU2 team at this time?
Yeah, so the question is, if you want to implement new functionality or work with us in some way, what's the best way to do it? So the first best thing is that there is an SU2 code -dev, so for develop, at list.stanford, list.stanford.edu. So the first thing you should do is you should let us know, and you should say, I'm interested in doing X, hopefully, okay. So either you're interested in doing X, could you help me? Or I'm interested in doing X, here's my strategy for doing so. Does this sound good to everybody? At which point we can say, actually, we'd like to see it in this way, or we can say, actually, this person has already developed half of the functionality, maybe the two of you could work together. So basically discuss first before making any large code changes. And then once sort of that structure has been decided upon, the best way to interact is what I just did. So fork the code, make your changes, push those changes back up to the main branch, or make a pull request for those changes. We'll review them, make sure they're okay, and then we'll merge the pull request. And once that code is merged, that all's been done.
You must keep in mind that SU2 is being developed worldwide, and we know who's developing each piece of the code. So if you want to implement a new fluid structure interaction, it's much better that you contact us first, and we will point to the person that is also implementing that kind of capability. So we are trying to unify the development of the code, and that's very important. We know that there are a lot of people around the world developing different parts of the code, so we know all of them. Just tell us what you want to do, and we will tell you. Please collaborate with this university in Australia, or these people in Germany, or this one that are at MIT.
Another simple way to get involved is to check out the issue tracker page. So we posted a lot of things that we're working on, things we're interested in, features we might want. Feel free to post your own issues or things that you'd like to see implemented. It's a good way to get started, or just pick one and start working on it and make a pull request and fix things. Sometimes we put issues up there that are relatively simple to fix, and we just haven't gotten to it yet. So it's an easy way to get involved if you're just looking for something small to do to get started in the code.
Yep, and those open issues are at SU2 code/SU2/issues, and it's over on the right-hand bar. There's a little issues link. So yeah, so the problem with compilation had something to do with that, the fact that I was trying to make changes on develop, but was working on master. So we looked here, and it successfully compiled. And so now if we're in that test cases, we'll run SU2-CFD with our config file before that. And if we remember, before we had added this to the bottom, their SA source print printing at 2845. And so now let's run it, and we see now that we're printing the residual at 2845, and here's the residual value, and that'll change as time goes on and all the iterations go through. Great. Any last questions? Awesome.